Hello, my name is Anita Walz, and I'm Associate Professor and Assistant Director of Open Education and Scholarly Communication Librarian at Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, Virginia, USA. Original Études for the Developing Conductor is an openly licensed, open access, peer-reviewed open educational resource. This project is the first foray into music publishing by the Open Education Initiative at Virginia Tech. It's available electronically and in print in several different formats. Scores and Parts in PDF, which is over 700 pages, available in either low or full resolution. A scores only version in PDF as well as print on demand. MP4 files, which are downloadable from our site or through our YouTube channel. A zip file of individual PDFs and a spiral bound print on demand version. In this short talk, I'll tell you a little bit about the project context or process, why we undertook the project, some of the technology involved, and some of the impacts of this project. Conducting is a required course for any student majoring or minoring in music or music education at the college level in the United States. Conducting courses commonly use one of 5 major conducting textbooks, which include Études, short pieces or excerpts designed to provide practice material for perfecting particular musical skills. There's some challenges in both navigation and access to these short pieces, as well as use in conducting instruction. Études are typically performed and conducted in and outside of class, often from printed music. Using printed music entails switching between performance and conducting, and it includes a lot of page turns and a lot of dog-eared pages as students and instructors switch back and forth between scores and parts. Some books, conducting textbooks, provide ancillary audio recordings, scores, and the transposed pieces for which one would navigate to and from, as well as demonstration videos. However, these sites are commonly proprietary or closed access. Some publishers have implemented open access ancillary materials, namely drop-down menus to navigate to transpose parts specific to the key of your instrument. This is still a lot of navigating between documents, and scores remain print-only and proprietary. Another interesting characteristic you may have noticed as you look at this slide, because conducting textbooks primarily use short snippets of material, these tend to be in the public domain, namely because it's easier and it's less expensive. And while cost is very important, this unfortunately results in some missing things. First, a full musical arc, because these are only part of a whole, not the whole piece. Secondly, Études from only public domain sources commonly result in a lack of diversity of composers. In fact, a review of the top 5 conducting textbooks found that only 1 non-white composer was included and only 1 woman. Finally, public domain materials are typically quite old and result in omission of contemporary pedagogical concepts, which are important for today's students to learn. So we created original Études for the developing conductor as a supplement to fill in some of these gaps. It's intentionally free and publicly available and released under a CC BY non-commercial share alike license to make it even easier for instructors and students everywhere to be able to access and use. It utilizes a linked table of contents and navigation internal to the PDF to jump from scores to parts and back and forth, thus eliminating a lot of page turns. It has clickable QR codes to navigate to the audio representations of each Étude in YouTube. Each composition features a photo of the composer, their submitted biography, a link to their website, a description of the Étude in their own words, and for instructors, commission parameters and additional pedagogical opportunities are also listed on this page, as well as in a table in the front of the book for each of the pieces included in the book. So how does a project like this come to fruition? We have a wonderful team. Original Études for the Developing Conductor is the brainchild of conducting professors Dr. Jonathan Caldwell from University of North Carolina at Greensboro and Dr. Derek Shapiro at Virginia Tech. Our publishing team also includes Kindred Gray, who designed and implemented the layout and navigation, and me, who oversaw and coached the project along. We involved 2 paid freelancers, Matt Brown, who produced the beautifully typeset music, and Artem Bank, who created and populated the YouTube channel for this project. We prioritized contributing our already paid labor and were able to secure grant funding so others could be paid. Composer honoraria and production costs were funded in large part by a collaborative research grant awarded by the University Libraries at Virginia Tech. Additional funding was granted from the UNCG Textbook Affordability Program grants and through the Open Education Initiative at the University Libraries at Virginia Tech. We built a lot of trust with composers. John and Derek negotiated all of the composer agreements, and while some asked hard questions about open access and open licenses, once they understood the project and its intent and were happy with the level of compensation, they decided they wanted to collaborate. We asked for a lot of advice. We had a lot of questions about how to do this work, so we consulted with our music typesetter, Matt Brown. We talked to Kathleen De Laurenti of Johns Hopkins University, who was deeply involved in the publication of the public domain song anthology. And we talked with Virginia Tech's musicology instructor, Dr. Elizabeth McLean, who chairs the Music and Disability Study Group of the American Musicological Association. She advised us on accessibility. We explored a wide range of technologies to achieve our vision. We reviewed music books in a variety of formats, platforms, and download environments, including Microsoft Word, Pressbooks, PDF, HTML, DSpace, Ubiquity, and others, to determine what might work best for a consistently formatted, navigable approach to presenting musical scores, and including quite a bit of text, which is not typical for a music book. We were purposeful to consider actual usage cases in designing the work and deciding what files to share. The book's editors developed classroom scenarios, which we used in usability testing with students to see how students navigated through the text, where they got stuck, and whether they understood the navigation features. We learned that students like to annotate on music, but it's difficult to pull a 700-page PDF into annotation software. So we provided a zip file that includes one file for each composition, score, and parts. We also asked subject matter expert peer reviewers to comment on the book, how they might use it, what they like, what they dislike, what they wanted to see in the book. Original Études for the Developing Conductor has many impacts. Of these include learning. Learning to add and communicate your own interpretation to a piece of music is a central part of being a conductor. Students studying music are doing this. They're doing transformative things, not only by conducting the pieces with their own interpretation, they're also rearranging and further sharing the pieces according to their interpretive vision as allowed by the open license. Belonging. This work, we believe, conveys a deep sense of belonging. Teaching. Conducting professors can now teach today's conducting concepts because of the materials. Navigation. Instructors and students both report this work is a dream to navigate with its link table of contents and QR codes. Finally, pay equity. Composers have gotten paid upfront, and they are not wondering if there will be any royalties. They are also able to bring forth their best creative work, which might not have an immediate commercial appeal, but is recognized as a valuable contribution. And also a surprise, another impact we're proud of, the Association of Learned and Professional Society Publishers shortlisted and awarded a highly commended designation for their Impact Award in September 2023 to this project. So in creating this project, the team involved living and diverse composers. We wanted to highlight and honor these composers and their work. We also wanted to highlight that this kind of work is possible. It's possible to implement for an open education initiative to produce this type of work. There are a lot of things to emulate within this project. The emphasis on diversity, living composers, payment of musicians, open access, usability, and on and on. We hope that you will catch a vision for this work. And if you need more, hop on over to see the work itself and hop on over to YouTube to see this 5-minute introduction to the project by the editors, which was filmed in June 2023. Thanks so much for your time.